The South African Police Service in the Eastern Cape has launched an extortion hotline in Mthatha in an attempt to gather information and gauge the extent of the problem of the so-called protection fees in the province. Businesses and residents in the Mthatha area have raised concerns, saying some businesses have been forced to close.
There's been a lot of media reports, social media reports about the increase of the incidence of extortion in the province of the Eastern Cape, specifically in Mthatha. And there has been allegations of a closure of some businesses in the Mthatha area due to the extortion. It is for this reason that we have decided, as the SAPS management of the province, that we need to come up with a number where everyone will be able to phone and report these incidents. This is a number that is going to be operating on a 24-hour basis. It is going to be manned at the provincial head office in Zwelisha to make sure that everyone that wants to report an incident is answered at a given time and give all particulars that are related to an incident that relates to extortion in the province.
A reminder, if you want to report any extortion attempts, this is the number to dial, 082-387-1561, 082-387-1561. We stay with this particular conversation and we speak to Willem Els, Institute of Security Studies Policy Analyst. Willem, thank you so much for your time this evening. Have we begun to understand just how widespread and how big this problem is? Because we've seen, in some instances in the past where there would be talk of extortion here, there's a construction mafia there and all of that, but now we are watching what's happening even in communities as well. Have we begun to understand it?
Good evening to you. Yeah, if you look at the index, we see that South Africa is being listed in the upper quadrant with countries like Mexico and like Italy as a mafia state. And this is your typical mafia-styled crimes that are being perpetrated, and where businesses are being held for ransom and protection fees are being. It's been with us for quite some time, especially in places like the Western Cape, where the gangs did that. And now it seems that it exploded all over South Africa, especially after the so-called construction mafia was so successful in what they were doing.
And Willem, you talk about, the fact that we've seen pockets of this being reported in some instances and even some high-profile cases. And one wonders, if you are able to then talk of, for example, a construction mafia, you're talking about a water tanker mafia in some instances, you're talking about a protection fee in some cases as far as maybe nightclubs or businesses are concerned. Where are the lapses then? If this has been there for so long, why are we not ending it?
Well, I think it starts with political will. It also starts with leadership. And we could see that in recent weeks, the National Commissioner actually came to the front with a new energy. Especially after we've got the new minister. We see that they have a new strategy. They are much more active. They're much more visible. We see that they send this task team now down to the Eastern Cape to try to curb and make a dent into this challenges that they have there. And that is very promising. And we should build on that because currently the police and the country is being overwhelmed by crime.
And you talk about a very important conversation to say, let's build on that, because one may worry to say that if we allow this to continue as a country, businesses may find themselves having normalized, having to pay a protection fee, and thus possibly making it difficult to even fight.
Of course, if you just look at the KwaZulu-Natal, we're speaking about 63 billion rand that went lost. It's just gone in KwaZulu-Natal because of the construction method, due to the withdrawal of investors and of building projects that have been cancelled. And with that, it's a lot of jobs and opportunities that is going missing because of these the greed by these criminals. So it is time that we take our streets back. South Africa has got a lot going for them, and we need to put a tap on crime. Otherwise, we're not going to win the battle.
Speaking about taking the streets back, the Eastern Cape Premier seems to think that getting the army to safeguard multi-billion rand government projects could help with this. Will it, especially when it comes to addressing the issue of resources?
Yeah, you know what? That will release more police to do investigations and to be visible on the street. We know that the primary function of the army is to work outside of the borders in terms of our constitution, but also it makes provision that they can work under the police upon request from the police. And we see that here there must have been a request from the police because of the shortage of manpower. So that will really help if they can be visible there, and that will release more hands of the police to start to investigate and to look after these cases.
I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this one then, Willem, because you talk about, the availability of more police to then be able to do a lot more investigations. Do they have the capacity to be able to do this? And I ask this against the backdrop, for example, of them not having enough investigators and detectives to be able to just deal with ordinary crime on a day-to-day basis. And then there's also fingers that are being pointed at the intelligence gathering as well. So is there enough capacity, even if they get this beef up, to be able to focus on this?
You see, the problem is it's all about capacity. It starts with your intelligence, because your intelligence is actually your eyes and your ears, and it also affords you to do proactive planning and also proactive operations that can preempt some of these crimes and arrest them before they can perpetrate these crimes. It also affords your management to plan and to work out a strategy. So without a lack of that intelligence, they are working blind. And we cannot afford that. We know that as intelligence services, from crime intelligence right through to your national intelligence services, they're in trouble, and they are busy revamping themselves. They're busy amending the GLAP Act. But it's a long way to go, because an intelligence capability is not built overnight. It's time consuming and it takes time. So, but while they are busy rebuilding, and we see that there are efforts of that, we have to look at capacity. It's not just a matter of throwing bodies to the street and then these policemen will start to investigate. A detective, it takes time for a detective to be trained, but also to gain experience and to be confident in order to build cases. But apart from that, you need leadership, you need commanders, you need station commanders that take control and that also guide these young policemen, because the majority of them do not have experience, and they need to be guided and mentored by these people in order to take back our streets. There are different strategies that can be followed. Of course, they keep on training new policemen. We have to look at a retention strategy. How are we going to retain the expertise within the police and not lose them to the private sector? That's one of the strategies. Another one is, of course, the training of new police officers. But then we have to look at the mentorship program, where we can maybe look at retired detectives that can be brought back to mentor these young policemen in order to better investigate.
Quite compelling, as you say, retention, mentorship, training. These are the critical aspects in order to be able to focus on. Willem, there's something that, we've been talking about, of course, here on, on the channel. We've been looking at what this means for communities, their safety, and a lot of people who remain concerned about their safety when it comes to extortion. But how much of a threat is it when it comes to national security?
Of course, it's a major threat. Apart from the threat just to national security, it's a threat of everybody on the street, because our confidence levels by the public in the police it says that 73% of your people do not trust the police. We have to look at corruption, and we look at the competency of our police officers in order to restore that trust in the public. Because at the end of the day, these criminals, they just get more brazen and more brazen. And we see that with all the other violent crimes. And then they tend to lose their fear for the police or respect for the police. And that is why we see so many shootouts in the country, or one of the reasons that we see that. So all in all, it really puts a damp on our economy. It prevents growth in the economy, because it's really severely hampering it. Just at our borders, we are losing the equivalent of 10% of our GDP just through corruption at our borders that is not coming in terms of customs and excise to the government. So it hurts our economy. Crime is really hurting our economy.
Sure. Willem, thank you so much for your insights this evening. Appreciate it. And as you say, build on what you are already starting to work with in order to ensure that this is brought under control. But do appreciate your time. That was Willem Els, the Institute of Security Studies Policy Analyst. And it'll be interesting, as we continue to monitor developments around this particular story, to just get a sense and understand when it comes to the police, what strategies then become employed in order to be able to ensure that they do safeguard and protect some of the communities. But thank you so much, of course, to Willem for this conversation.